everyone, my name's Katrina Walser from Oliphant and I am a knitting teacher and designer based in Sydney in Australia, but today I am coming to you from Greensboro in North Carolina. So this is episode 12 of my knitting podcast and I may have some furry co-hosts today. I don't know if you can see her, but this is Maddie. And she's decided that she's going to live in my lap. So my family and I are visiting my in-laws. We are in the Greensboro area of North Carolina. Didn't really want to say exactly where we are because they live in a fairly small town and I don't exactly want to give their address away on the internet, but Greensboro is the closest biggest town. And on that note, I would like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land, the Saponi people. From what I understand, they are a historical tribe who no longer exist, but they do have some descendants, or there are some modern tribes who claim descendancy from the Saponi. So I will put the information that I found in the links down below. I do recognise that land acknowledgements are not as common here in the States as they are in Australia, but if you are here, I would encourage you to find out whose land it is that you do stand on, because it's good to have an understanding of where we've come from so we can all move forward together. Okay, so apologies if the light is dipping in and out a little bit. I am relying on these giant beautiful bay windows that exist in my in-laws' house, but it's a bit cloudy today, so we'll have to see how we go. Yeah, so it's been an interesting trip. We arrived in the beginning of June, and I know it's been, beginning of July. So we've been here for about 5 weeks so far. I know it's been a while since I recorded, so it's nice to be talking to you all again. I was going to record last week, but I was not in a very good mood, which we will go on a little bit more about later. But I'm glad I waited the week because I'm feeling much more positive about my knitting and just life in general right now. And I have more things that I can show you. So let's just get started. The first section, as always, that I have is on the needles, which is where I talk about my whips and my FOs. So to begin with, this is a very old FO, but it's what I'm wearing. This is the Lydia 2.0 top by Autumn and Ivy, I'm pretty sure. If I got that wrong, I will post a correction here on the screen. And it's quite modified. So the original top is very cropped, and I wanted to make it a full-length top. So I will try and show you. Hey, Maddie, you're gonna... Oh, come here. Okay. So the detailing on the top is all in the bottom here. It's got this like lovely lace detailing down the bottom. And other than that, it's a relatively simple tank top. I knit this in Cotton Pure from Pearl Soho, which is a lovely cotton to work with. It is a fingering weight or 4-ply cotton. It took me a while to get the hang of this shirt because I wasn't happy with the back. It's very open. Sorry, hun. I'm not used to working with furry co-hosts. Okay, so the back of it is quite open, if you can see that. And it was just too open. But about 6 months after I finished it, I decided to go in and put in a crochet border into both the back and the underarm, sort of like armholes. And I like it a lot better now. It is still very open. I can only wear it with a specific bra, basically. But it's just nice and breezy and like easy to wear. So yeah, that is my Lydia 2.0 top. So my first actual FO for the month is my necessity jumper. So the day after I recorded my last episode, I decided that I really needed to finish the jumper before we left Sydney. And mostly because I needed photos of it and there was no way I wanted to take photos here. It's just too hot. So I finished my jumper in like a giant rush. So I can't remember exactly where I was up to last time I showed it to you, but I think I had finished maybe a sleeve I think I had one sleeve left to go. And I was joking with some friends that I should try and just take photos of it before I finish the other sleeve and just have like one sleeve photos. And actually I possibly could have gotten away with it because this is one of the photos that I took and it's a great looking photo and you cannot see the other arm. So I probably could have gotten away with that. But I decided I would finish it off properly. I didn't block it, but I just threw it on and took some FO photos. So that was basically what I was doing for the last day in Sydney. And that all worked out quite nicely. And yeah, because I just didn't want to take the FO photos here and they were due to the yarn company I'm working with before we got back home, if that all makes sense. So I am working with Knit Picks. This is knit in Wonder Fluff, which is a blend of, I think, wool, alpaca, and I think some sort of nylon, because it's what's called a blown yarn. So it's essentially a nylon tube that they then blow fibers into. And it's a little hard to explain. It's the sort of thing you have to sort of just see to understand, but it makes for an incredibly light, it's super light. Oh my gosh. This thing weighs like nothing and it is so warm. So I'm really happy with the FO. I am looking forward to getting home and actually wearing it. I don't know how cold it will be in September, but we'll see. So that's my necessity jumper. It is in test right now. I'm very excited to see all of the projects that the testers are coming in because, yeah, some of the yarns they've chosen are stunning. So my friend Ira, who is Cookie Knits, if you'd like to see how her test is going, she has a podcast episode up. Just went up yesterday, I think. And she showed off her version of it. So she's making it in Feeling Good yarn from Wool in the Gang. And that is actually a yarn that's available in Australia. So I'm listing it as an alternative to the Wonder Fluff in the actual pattern. So those will be the two suggested yarns in the pattern. And I reached out to Wool in the Gang for yarn support, and they were so lovely. And they sent Ira enough yarn to make a jumper. So she is going to be testing that for me and then taking some photos, and those will also go into the pattern. I also have a wonderful friend named Wendy, who is someone who I met on the internet, but I've now met her in real life. We go to knit nights together. And she took one of the suggestions that I made, and she's knitting it up in a worsted or 10-ply yarn, held double with a mohair. So the thing with the Feeling Good yarn and the Wonder Fluff is that it's technically an Aran or a bulky, which is like sort of heavy 10-ply or 12-ply yarn. But because it's so fuzzy and light, it just doesn't really act like a regular bulky weight yarn. So I thought it'd be really cool if someone tried making the jumper in a lighter weight yarn held with a mohair. So Wendy's holding some mohair together with a 10-ply Malabrigo, and it looks so pretty. I haven't actually asked her if I can use one of her photos yet, but if she agrees, I will post it up here. And it's looking amazing. So yeah, I'm just like really happy with how this test is going. Thank you so much to everyone who signed up to test. I just couldn't do this sort of thing without you, and you have no idea how valuable it is to see your patterns knit up in different yarns. Also, I only found testers for sizes 1 through 6, and so there is a size 7, 8, and 9, which I can't remember the exact bust sizes, but I think it's something like the 52 inch to the 60 inch. That sounds about right. Unfortunately, I don't remember exactly what that is in centimeters, but I'll post it up here on the screen. So if you would like to test the pattern and those are sizes that you would knit, please get in touch. I will just send it to you for free. I don't need it done by a particular deadline. I would just like a little bit of feedback when you're done. And it's going to be coming out September 16th. So if you would like to keep track of when it's coming out, and if you'd like to take advantage of any discount codes or anything that I send out before it's released, make sure you sign up to my newsletter. That's where I'll be sending all the updates and stuff. And so the details for that are down below in the description. Okay, my next finished object is a Southern Star blanket. And I have been planning this blanket out for a really long time. It's for my friend Katie, who is a knitter, but I am pretty sure she doesn't watch this. Katie, if you're watching for some reason, just like skip ahead 5 minutes. But Katie had a baby in January or February, sometime at the start of the year. And I've been planning this blanket out basically the whole time she was pregnant, because when I released Southern Star back in 2019 or 2020, she was really supportive and she just like seemed to really like it. And so I thought it would be a perfect thing to knit for her once she had her own baby. And she does knit, but she has a new baby. So I don't think she's exactly got time to go knitting a giant baby blanket for her. So I went stash diving, and I think one of the things Katie reacted to initially was the color palette. So I wanted to try sticking with a sort of like darker vintage vibe. I don't know if I quite got there, but it's looking pretty good. So I did pull all of this from my stash, and the thing with this yarn is that it's all 8-ply. So the pattern's written for a 10-ply yarn, but it's so big that I figured that doing it in 8-ply would be fine. And it has worked out fine. There are some things about it that I don't know if I would recommend. It just made some changes to the blanket shaping, but I'll show you those when I actually pull out the blanket. So my color palette was a mix of yarn from Bendigo Woolen Mills and a ball of West Yorkshire Spinner 8-ply Bo Peep. So this is all BWM Luxury. So this is in the cream, and then this here is this is the Bo Peep baby. Bo Peep 8-ply. This is called Piglet, which I find sort of hilarious. And then this one is, no, not Slate. I forget what this colorway is called. But this is also BWM Luxury. Then we get into the darks. So this is Slate in the Luxury. And then this is Claret Mix in the 8-ply Classic from BWM. So it's an interesting mix. I was a little skeptical at first, but it's worked out quite nicely. So that's what I was going with. And this is how much I've got left. It took maybe like 75 grams of each color. So that worked out pretty well. So if you do want to try making Southern Star in an 8-ply, you need like max 100 grams of every color. All right, so I'll stop blathering on and actually show you what it looks like. So this is going to be hard to show off, and I don't have any like proper FO photos, and Maddie's like, what is going on? Okay, come here, hun. I need you to hop off for a sec, just because I don't know if this baby's allergic to dogs. Okay, so this is the blanket, and it's turned out beautifully. I forgot how much fun this pattern is. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I have this thing that I've told you guys so many times. I just cannot help but play with patterns. I just don't stick to the pattern, or I want to make some changes. And especially actually with my own patterns, every time I go revisit them, I find something in them that I'm like, oh, I wish I had written this differently. And I just really like this. Aside from the yarn weight change, I didn't make any changes. I just went for it. And it was so much fun to just follow a pattern and not have to think about it. And it's so funny with center out blankets, how addictive they get, because you start from the middle here, and you start from the middle here, and you work your way out. And so I think the first couple of rounds, the very first round is 6 stitches long. And then the next one is 12, and the one after that is 18. And so it just it's so fast at the beginning. So I cast this on the plane. I didn't get very far, even though it was like 24 hours of flying, you only have so much mental energy. And I also forgot the pattern. I finally got around to trying to knit, and I was like, oh my gosh, I downloaded the pattern onto my iPad, and I left my iPad in the overhead storage, and we were descending, so I wasn't allowed to go get the iPad. So maybe print your patterns out if you're going to hop on a plane. So I got maybe like 20 rounds in the whole plane trip. And then I just kept going. And it's so addictive. It is pretty daunting though by the end of it. I had forgotten how long rows get in a blanket like this. So in these final two colors up here with the lace, it was really fun doing the lace up here. And then this final like dark color is just a seed stitch. But there were over 700 stitches in the final bind off. So every round of the last two colors, you're just like in it for a while. But it was fine. It was a lot of fun. I ended up knitting this on a 3.75 millimeter needle, and I do wish that I had gone up a needle size. I don't know why I chose the 375. I normally do 8 ply on a 4, but I think it was mostly because I had a spare 375, like a set of fixed circulars that I didn't care too much about. And as much as I've knit on planes in my life, I was a bit paranoid still, especially post-COVID, that people might take my needles away. I wasn't too worried about it, but just in case. I didn't want to take my fancy interchangeable tips onto the plane. So I did it in 375. Other than that, I would have done it in the 4. I think given how much yarn I have left over, it would have been totally fine. And the blanket would have been a bit bigger. But this looks great. The only thing that I found with the shaping is that I'll post a picture of me blocking it up here actually, because it'll be easier to talk about like that. The star shape was really exacerbated. Like normally this blanket is a little bit star shaped, but this one is like very much a star. The ends really, really dip in. And so I don't know if that's a function of the yarn and the needle size. Doesn't look bad. It's just very star shaped. So this is what it's looking like now. So these are the sleeves here in stockinette. And then this is the honeycomb brioche for the backs and the fronts. And it's not looking like a whole lot because it's a bit squished on the cable. But I think I'm maybe... Oh, I checked this morning. I'm a couple of rows or rounds away from the sleeve separation. I think I don't have a whole lot left to go. So it's pretty cute. Let me try and fold it up so it looks a bit like a cardigan. So that's the neckline there, and then those are the fronts and the sleeves. Now, this is knit on Saltbush skeins yarn, I'm pretty sure. And this was basically one of the last dye runs that she did before she shut down her shop. And so I didn't realize that she was closing down, but when I did, I was like, ooh, I don't have any of that in my stash. I would really like to grab some. And it's a color called Melted Buffalo Bill, which I've talked about before. A Buffalo Bill is a type of ice cream that you eat as a kid here in Australia. The reason you eat it as a kid is because the nose is bubblegum. And it's just not something I really want to mess with as an adult. But if you are a grown woman or man or person and you like Buffalo Bill still, no shade, eat whatever makes you happy. So it's turning out really prettily, but I was a little shocked at first in a way that I probably shouldn't have been. I just hadn't realized how yellow it was. So colourful I can do. I'm fine with colourful knits, but it's a lot more yellow than I had realized. And most of the colors are these sort of gorgeous muted dusky tones, but every so often you get a pop of really bright gold. I don't know if you can see it here, but like for example, right there in the middle, there's this like really bright golden color. And I just wasn't really expecting it because I wear a lot of colors. Yellow is not one that I wear much. So my current plan is to just keep going. And then what I think I'm going to do is I will do the cuffs and the bottom ribbing and the button band in a different like contrast color. And I might try and make the button band quite a bit wider so that the contrast color is like it looks more like the contrast color rather than just yellow. And so what I'm planning on doing at the moment, I think, is hitting up Mel when I get home. So if you've been here for long enough, you'll have heard me mention Three Cats Yarn. But Mel has some really, really gorgeous sort of dusky pinks, which I think would go really nicely with what's in here and just sort of tone down the colourful yellow of it all. So I might try and find just like a more solid or tonal dusky pink, because I think if you added speckles into the mix here, it would just get a little bit too much. So, Mel, if you're watching, be prepared. I'm going to come hit you up for something when I get home. So that's my May cardigan. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm probably not going to be posting much about it because sometimes I just need a project that's just for me. But all of you on my podcast will definitely see it, and I'll show it to you next month when it's done. Hopefully it'll be done. Okay, the last set of whips that I have are my homecoming honeycomb beanies. So I decided to call them that because, okay, this is a bit strange. I've never fashioned or planned a knit around a photo shoot before. But after I made Amelia's like honeycomb rainbow beanie that I've been talking about for a while, and everyone was like, oh, I want the pattern. I was like, okay, what am I going to do about actually taking photos for this? And I thought it would be really sweet if I made one for my mother-in-law and Amelia and my nephew, and they could all have matching beanies. And especially because I wanted to write the pattern in a lot of different sizes. So it'd be nice to show off the fact that you can make like a set for your whole family. So before I left, I went to Morris & Sons and I bought a couple of skeins of Quartet, which is a bamboo and wool mix, and it's so much fun to work with. So this is the Quartet. This is what I've got left of one rainbow skein. And it's just like, so it is single ply. So that's the only downside. It's a little bit splitty sometimes. But other than that, it's just this like gorgeous soft mix, and it's just a tiny bit shiny in like a really good way. So this pink color is called Charming. And then the rainbow color is called... oh no, I can't remember what the colors are called. Anyway, I've got a rainbow and a blue. And I will put the color names up here on the screen. And so I gave my mother-in-law a choice. I was like, what color do you want? And she was like, let Amelia choose. So Amelia decided that she wanted the pink one because she already has a rainbow one. And so this is hers. When the pattern comes out, this is a size 5, which is a 20 centimeter... no, it's to fit a 20 centimeter head, but it's 18 centimeters in diameter. Not centimeters, inches. That would be a tiny beanie. Okay, I'm going to talk inches because that's what I'm used to. And then this is the largest size. This is for my mother-in-law. It's a size 8 and it fits like a 23, 24 inch head. So these beanies all have about 1 to 2 inches of negative ease. So it looks like this. I haven't blocked it yet, so I do need to block it. But this is your like regularly scheduled PSA. Definitely block your knits because this is what this looks like before you block it. And this is what it looks like after. So it just like opens up the stitch pattern and makes it look like nice and neat and smooth. And then, so that's pretty much finished. I just need to block it. And then the final one that I'm making for my nephew, it's a size 4. So he is almost a year old, but I think he might have a large head. Anyway, this is one size smaller than Amelia's. And this is why this pattern has taken me so long to write. I decided to convert it into a top-down beanie. So that's why this looks like a dinner plate right now. Because for a top-down beanie, you basically start in the middle and you work your way out. And then after you finish the crown increases, it starts to look more like a beanie. It's just that I'm only just at the end of the crown increases right now. So as you add length here, it turns more and more into a beanie shape. So I've been really happy with how this all turned out. It took me a really, really long time to write the pattern though. So I decided I wanted to make it top down because I wanted people to be able to just make the crown and then knit to whatever length that they want. And I thought it'd be nice to do that so people can have the flexibility of it. But I've never knit a top-down beanie before. I figured, how different can it be from a bottom-up one? Turns out quite different. So first off, the cast on is a new cast on to me. It's called a pinhole cast on, and it's essentially the cast on equivalent of when you cut your yarn tail and thread it through the live stitches in the top of the beanie and like pull it shut. So that's what a pinhole cast on is. It's the like cast on equivalent of that. And then also I needed to learn some new increases because none of the increases that I know really worked very well with the stitch pattern. So these are all done with left and right leaning increases. Oh, no, wait, what are they called? Left and right lifted increases, which I'm pretty sure that I've done before, but only like once. So I had to look up how those worked, and they worked perfectly for the beanie, but it just means that it's another thing that I had to figure out. So it took so many experiments to get all of these little honeycombs to line up and increase nicely, but I finally got it working, and I'm really proud of how this looks. Like, isn't that just sort of cool? So that is my progress on the Homecoming Honeycombs beanie. It is going to be coming out on August 19th, which is in like 2 weeks. So very soon. So it's in test at the moment because I figured once I finished one and I was happy with the pattern, I would just sort of knit along with my testers, which has proven to be quite fun. And yeah, people are coming up with some stunning color combinations. So I'm really excited to be able to share all of those with you when the pattern comes out. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say that the gradient yarn is called Quartet, and then the contrast color in this grey is called Estate, which is just one of their standard 8-ply wools. It's also from Morris & Sons. So it's exciting to be able to publish a yarn in some Morris & Sons yarn, because Morris & Sons were my sort of local yarn store growing up, and I've been wanting to work in their yarn for a while. So it's nice to finally do that. So those are all of my whips and FOs. There weren't many, but I had a lot to say. I think I've just been missing talking to you guys. So I hope you liked all the detail. So my next section is Off the Needles, which is where I talk a little bit about live stuff. This whole month has just been trip. Just like all the things to do with being away and being in a different space. So I know I'm not sure if I made it sound like we were going on holiday, but we're here for so long that Wes and I were thinking of this more as a temporary living situation, I guess. And so we've been trying to work while we've been here. So we're really lucky in that I work for myself and he works for a company that's quite flexible. And so he's been working remotely and I've just been working like I normally do. And it's worked out mostly okay. There have been some interesting hiccups and things here and there, mostly to do with childcare for Amelia, because it's hard to find temporary childcare, especially if it's only for like a 6-week period. But his parents have been amazing. They've been so lovely and they've been helping out a lot with looking after her. So we're just really grateful to them for hosting us for so long and helping out with Amelia. And it's just been lovely getting to know them a bit better and spending so much time with them. And just in general, getting to spend so much time with people here. So usually when we come to North Carolina, we're only here for 2 weeks or so. And so the way Wes has been framing it is that it feels more like a season than a trip. And so we've gotten to hang out with a lot of our friends and just spend a decent amount of time with people. And so I've been really grateful for the opportunity to do that. It's just meant that life's been a little bit more disrupted than it normally would be at home, which was to be expected. The main stressful part is that I'd hustled so hard to get my jumper finished and to take all the photos and everything. And then 2 or 3 days after we landed, I decided to get organized and I took everything off of my camera and off of my phone onto my computer, and then the computer crashed. So it was a stressful couple of weeks trying to see if I could recover all of my stuff. I'm so thankful to the people at the Apple Store because they finally fixed it and everything was still there, and it was such a relief. But it was just a stressful couple of weeks trying to figure out contingency plans and things like that, because I did have the pattern due to the yarn company. And so I had all these crazy plans about getting my parents to bring the jumper to LA because I'm meeting up with them there and trying to take photos of it before the pattern was due. So I'm just really, really grateful. Shout out to the people at the Friendly Center for fixing my computer. Yeah. But other than that, it's just been life. Just doing life here. It's been really exciting to just sort of like settle in and get to like hang out with people more. And it's just really been nice to be in some summer. I'm not going to lie. I'm hoping we get a decent summer this year in Australia, or in like New South Wales at least, because it's just such a relief to get some sun. So it's been really nice. So yeah, it's just been really good to get out again. So, well, like out of the country again. So I know I promised a travel vlog and it was too stressful trying to figure out my computer problems, and there were phone problems as well. Anyway, and so I didn't really get a lot of great footage on the trip over here, but we are going to California for like a proper holiday. This is the first like actual holiday that I've taken since I started my business back in like the start of 2020. So I'm going to try and log off everything. I'm going to ignore all my emails, except for if you are testing for me, don't worry. I will keep an eye out on the test stuff in case there are any emergencies. But I'm planning on taking an actual proper holiday. We're going to California on the way home. My cousin's getting married because I have family out in LA. So that'll be really fun. Some of my family from Australia are also coming to meet us there. And then we're planning on going to Yosemite for a couple of days after the wedding. We've rented like a cabin, and so that'll be really exciting. I've never been to any of the national parks here. So I've heard Yosemite is beautiful, so I'm very excited for that. And then we are taking Amelia to Disneyland. I'm also taking myself to Disneyland because I really like Disney stuff. I know I am a grown woman, but can't help it. It's too much fun. Amelia's already planning on what she wants to show Elsa. We're going to have to hunt down whoever it is who plays Elsa at Disney. Because Amelia wants to bring her Elsa water bottle and her Elsa coloring book. And there was one more thing. Oh yes, and her Elsa doll. So she has quite a bit of Frozen merchandise. She wants to show it all to real Elsa. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm just amused that my 3-year-old has solid plans for this already. So that's going to be exciting. And then, after the wedding and Yosemite and Disney, we're going home. So I figured that it would be more interesting to have a travel vlog going home than coming here. So I will hopefully take a decent amount of footage, and I will post that in the week or two after we get back. So yeah, that's basically it for life stuff, I think. I do have some knitting related chatter, but I think I'm going to save that for next podcast episode. Essentially, I decided to buy a bunch of needles and cables and things while I was here because I had some bits that were missing from my interchangeable sets because I'd broken some of my needle tips and stuff, and I wanted to try some of the new ChowGoo cables that have come out. But I will save that for next month and we can do a full sort of review of the needles and things. So I'm going to skip Knitting Clinic this month just because this has been such a long episode already. If you're new here and you haven't seen a podcast episode before, Knitting Clinic is where I just answer people's knitting related questions. So if you do have any questions that you'd like me to answer next month, please just leave them down below in the comments or hit me up on Instagram. Feel free to leave me a question. So the last section is up next, which is where I talk about what's happening next month. I don't think there's anything beyond what I've already mentioned, so the holiday is going to be exciting. And yes, so releases. Homecoming Honeycombs is coming out on August 19th, which is in 2 weeks. And then the Necessity Jumper is coming out on September 16th, which is in about 6 weeks. The jumper may be out on the KnitPicks website earlier than that, so if you're like raring to go, just sign up to the KnitPicks newsletter because they will probably email out when that's out on their website. I do actually get most of the proceeds from the KnitPicks site, so don't feel bad. I'm still going to get some royalties and things from it if you want to buy it from them. If you do want to buy it directly from me, then definitely sign up to my newsletter if you haven't already, and you'll get all of the discounts and the updates and things about the beanie and the jumper when they're coming out. The last thing I wanted to say is thank you so much to everyone who bought me a coffee. If you're new here, I launched my Ko-Fi account or coffee account or whatever it is. Oh, hi Maddie. At the beginning of last month and in like my last podcast episode, and I wasn't sure if anyone was actually going to buy me one, and quite a few of you did. So thank you so much. I think what I'm going to do from now on is if I do get anyone shout me a coffee for the month, I will pick a name and just like read it out and their comment at the start of each episode, because I am really very appreciative of you all, even just being here, let alone supporting me financially. So thank you very, very much. If you are looking for that link, it's down below, as well as all the links to my Instagram and where you can find me online and my newsletter sign up. If you are new here and you'd like to subscribe to the channel, then you can hit this big button right here and that'll let you subscribe. You can also watch a playlist of the previous episodes down here. And other than that, I've been Kat from Oliphant Cat. It's been nice to see you. This has been Maddie, and I will see you next month.